Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to a behind-the-scenes video for a Stampy short I made called Not Alone. If you haven't seen that film yet, I recommend watching that before this, just because I'm going to be spoiling it, and this is going to be a much worse way to see that film. So if you have seen the film and you enjoyed it, or you're curious about how I made some of it, yeah, this is the video for you. So it's a bit different to my other behind-the-scenes because I've already finished making it. I guess this is going to be more of a director's commentary and talk about some of the editing and the shots and kind of explain a bit more of the story of the film. I left it quite vague and open to interpretation in the actual video, but there is a storyline, so I am going to go and talk a little bit about that and yeah, kind of just go through it all. So I'm a little bit nervous about what the reaction to the film is going to be, only because it's very different to anything I've done before on the channel. You know, it's not a comedy. It's not meant to be funny. I'm sure a lot of people find lots of my videos not funny, but they're normally meant to be funny, and this one isn't. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about what the reaction's going to be, but let's get started. I'm just basically going to do talking through it. So here's the opening sequence, kind of pretty similar to most of my my Stampy shorts I do, with kind of an opening sequence like this. Something that you'll notice, a lot of people have been asking me about editing, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the editing throughout it. You can notice that the background's all blurry, kind of to replicate the effect of a out of focus camera. One, because it looks really nice with all of the flowers and stuff, and also makes the text stand out. If this was all in high resolution, very detailed, then it'd be very hard to kind of see the text over the background. So that's just something to bear in mind. It just works really well, and it looks very cinematic, and that's kind of the effect I was going for. It does a long pan across, and then we see our protagonist here, the hero of the story, and it's a fairy. In case you didn't know, they are supposed to be fairies in a magical land, and they can fly and all sorts. And she comes across a tree, which is dead. You can see it's got no leaves, so it's a dead tree. So she goes and does a little bit of her magic, and that makes the tree come back to life. This was a really tricky shot to do. It probably took about 3 to 4 hours, just this one shot, like this 5 seconds or so, because what we did is I did a panning shot going up, looking at the tree like this with all of the leaves. We then had to destroy every single leaf on the tree and then pan up at the exact same timing and then kind of fade the shots into each other to make it look like the trees are reappearing. And I think it looks great, but it took a lot of time to be able to do it. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it ended up looking. And the good thing about doing it on console is I can just press up on the D-pad, and that does like a nice gradual kind of float up, and it does it at the exact same speed every time. I don't need to use the analog sticks, so that made it much easier. And so this part of the film is kind of showing the world a little bit, and it's sort of, the idea is she's kind of lonely. She's kind of flying around and she's just basically playing. She's enjoying flying. Like, these are the places she enjoys going, but she's a little bit alone. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to set up in the story at the moment. And she basically moves through 3 different locations. So she starts off by the big tree. She goes to the big watering hole, and now she's kind of going through this ravine. You'll also notice that almost every single shot is moving. There are a few shots that aren't moving, which are all done on purpose. So for example, there's one coming up now. When we first see the other fairy, you can see that isn't a moving shot. There is a reason for that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but you'll kind of see for all of this sequence, the camera's either tilting or panning. Like, even a shot like that, you can see the camera's gradually moving, and that's just to kind of make the entire film flow. And it was a challenge. It's a lot more difficult to always have moving shots rather than stationary shots, and that's kind of one of the things that made this film take so much longer to film, because, you know, for example, here we're flying through this giant cave, and, you know, we had to film it like loads of different times, kind of just flying through, getting all of these different shots until I got ones that I was really happy with. Yeah, this is a little house that we built. So what's kind of going on in the story here is they ended up meeting, and he's like, let me show you where I live. You know, he's underneath this mushroom, and yeah, this is basically his home. And so that's kind of what's going on here. And this is basically them getting to know each other. The map we're building this on is called, I think it's called Insanity Biomes. The map was already created. It was basically a map you were able to download. It was like a modded world or something. I just thought it looked really cool, and I think it was perfect for this film. But things like the house, like this mushroom with the lights, and like the cave inside, and even some of the terrain, we ended up kind of building ourselves. So we did actually spend quite a lot of time building. Anyway, the part that's happening here is he's essentially saying, look, the sun is rising, you should go. And that becomes important a little bit later on. And I might as well explain what I'm talking about in terms of the moving and non-moving shots. The idea is there's a stationary shot every time something is dead. So the tree at the beginning, where the camera wasn't moving, that's because the tree was dead. And you will also notice that every shot, which is just of the other fairy, the blue fairy, it's a stationary shot. You know, when you first saw him, when you saw him inside the mushroom as well. The camera isn't moving, and that's just to kind of make it a little bit more jarring, and just to kind of make him seem different in some way. I don't know whether that is anything someone picked up on, and maybe they did kind of pick up on it subconsciously but didn't think about it. But yeah, that's kind of the idea anyway. So what happened there is he was basically saying to her, let's go back in the mushroom, and she's like, nope, you follow me. So now this is essentially her showing kind of not her home, but where she likes to go. So they kind of went in reverse. So went through the ravine, went to the big watering hole, and now they're basically back at where she started, at the tree that she healed at the very beginning. So they're both basically kind of introducing each other to their lives. You can see once again the moon is starting to go down. So he is saying, like, let's fly back home. And similar to the last night, he's saying, look, the sun is rising, you should leave. This time, she says no, and says, I don't want to leave. And then we've got another shot with him fading away. So the way I made him fade away in the moving shot is exactly the same as the way I made the leaves appear on the tree earlier on at the beginning. I basically did one shot of him standing there, and then another shot of him not moving, and then, you know, faded them through each other. We can see there's a song change here as well. This is where the song changes. There's two different songs that are used in this film. They're both just kind of royalty-free music that I found. And I actually came across this music, and then that's the thing that inspired the film. I had the music first. Like, normally I make the film and then try and find fitting music. This one, I heard these songs and I was like, I want to make a film to these songs just because I like them so much. So hopefully they fit really well. Once again, you see the stationary shot on him and then a moving shot on him. And the reason why it's stationary on him is because as he said, he's not alive. So this is him basically taking her to essentially where he is buried. This is like his tomb, I guess. And of course, she has the ability to bring things back to life. So this is her using the spell again, which she's hoping is going to be able to bring him back to life. You can see that after she uses the spell, he fades away, and then she kind of is anxiously kind of waiting to see whether it works. I kind of have a bit of a delay here because I don't want him to immediately come out and say, look, he's alive. I kind of want to have that little bit of an uncertainty, kind of have a little bit of a pause. And then, of course, he does show up. The idea now is that she has now basically brought him back to life, and they can be together properly without him disappearing every day. The sun is now rising, and so for the first time the sun is up and he hasn't disappeared, and then they fly off into the sunset together, you know, ideally to live their life together. So that's the little simple story. I kind of do the same effect at the end. This is them flying back inside of the mushroom and back to his house, and then we have the credits saying who controlled the characters, and I kind of credit the map that I used as well, because I think that was very important to the film. So I know I kind of talked very briefly about it. I did try and speak it as fast as I could, but hopefully this explained the story, and I kind of talked a little bit more about some of the shots that I made in the film. A lot of people have been asking for me to go into more depth in terms of editing, so that is something definitely that I want to do in the future. This probably wasn't a good film to do that in, because a lot of the editing's quite simple. It's more about just picking the right shots and getting the timing to music. But yeah, that is where the film ends. So hopefully you enjoyed this behind the scenes video. I got plenty more Stampy shorts coming in the future, so make sure you stay tuned for them. If you've got any questions, leave them as a comment down below. And I'd love to hear your feedback on the film as well, if you want to give me that. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.